This podcast is a 98 Studios production.
Today's the day, baby.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
Today's the motherfucking day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day. What up, everybody? Welcome back to Today's the Day with Zack Anderson. I'm excited for this episode. It's a tool that I've used and taught that's helped me and a lot of my people get through kind of the challenges of figuring things out. So for those of you guys that don't know, the space that I'm in, I manage a lot of people, and I look at that. I look at the word manage as a multi-layered word. I'm responsible for helping them find success in what we do in sales, in life, in relationships, in health, and everything. And I'll tell you a story, and I'll kind of leave names out of it, but I'll tell you a story. I had a rep, is what we call him. I had a rep that had worked with me for multiple years. And on his fourth year working with me, actually rewinding a little bit, over these first 3 years that he worked with me, he didn't see substantial growth. He always came and he finished the season with us, and he was a really positive person to have in the office. And I think he worked pretty hard, but it was one of those things where he was getting overwhelmed mentally by the task at hand. So trying to go and figure out how to go and make substantial money in 4 months that he could live off of the rest of the year, and learning all these new things, and with all the changes and new products and everything like that, it overwhelmed him really, really quick. And he just never clicked. It never blew up. He did good enough to come back year over year, obviously, and he went and made money. But I remember specifically one situation. We were together his fourth year. He was coming off a third week in a row where he was really, really, really struggling. And this individual, I love this kid. I've worked with him again 3+ years going on. We're on our fourth year together at this time. We're sitting in the car, and we called a car group, and I drove him back from area. We get to the apartments. Everyone gets out of the car. He's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he's like, "Man, I've been doing this job a long time. It's never clicked. I'm really struggling, and I'm having a hard time." And he started breaking down, and he started crying to me. And I empathize with that, because I've been in that situation where sitting on the edge of a curb crying because you just don't have any light at the end of the tunnel, basically. And it wasn't that he had totally given up, but he was giving up on being able to go and be very good at this. And I was like, "Okay, let's break this down. Let's work through it." Right? It's like, what's your goal? He's like, "Dude, I got to go get to the point where I can sell 125 of these things. Cause at that point you make enough in 4 months that you can live year round." And I'm like, "Okay. And where are you at?" And we're about 20% into our season. And he's like, "Well, I'm at 9 accounts." And I'm like, "Okay, so you're not really on pace, right? What do you spend your time thinking about?" And he's sitting there and he thinks for a minute. He's like, "I think about a lot of things. I think about how far off I am from my goal, how many behind I am from where I should be, how I'm not on pace. I think a lot about how in the world do these other guys do this that I think I'm way better than. I think about my area, because I've had certain areas where I go do 8 in a week or 9 in a week, and then I have these areas where I go do 1 in a week. I think about," and he started rattling off all of these things that he thinks about that go into his daily thought process of what it takes to go and hit his goal, right? And I sat there and I thought for a minute, and I was as I was hearing him talk, I was relating the whole time. I'm like, "Dude, I've been there. So it's like, okay, how do you fix it, right? And what advice can I give him? What tools can I give him to go fix it?" And I thought about it, and that was when I I guess I found or realized how important this lesson is that I want to go and explain to you guys, and this tool that I want to go explain to you guys. So we're sitting in my car. He's crying, 2 grown men, right? Haven't eaten all day. It's 10 o'clock p.m. It was an hour drive back home from area. And I want to go inside. I'm sure he does too, but he's at this point of absolute confusion, stress, and again, giving up. So I decided to take the time with him right then and there. It wasn't something where it's we can figure it out tomorrow. Right then and there. We sit there. I'm like, "Okay, pull open my backpack. It's in the back seat. Pull it open, pull out a notebook, open it up. I give him a pen. I say, "Okay, take this, and this is what I want all of you guys to do. So this tool is for anybody who has a desired outcome that you're trying to get to, or a goal or an idea, right, that you're trying to go and accomplish or attain, but it's overwhelming in some way, shape, or form, or it hasn't been working. Whatever you're doing is not working, and it's starting to go and lose hope, right? Or if you haven't lost hope yet and you just have this idea that seems daunting and scary, good. It should be big enough to be scary. But this is for anyone in that situation. So if you don't have goals that are big, and if you absolutely need no help accomplishing them, this is not for you. Everybody else, this is for you. And I do this pretty often with many, many different things in my life. So we pull open this notebook, I open it up, and I'm like, okay, here's a pen. And I'm like, go ahead and draw a circle right now, right? Draws a circle. And I say, okay, everything that you have zero control of at all whatsoever, you don't control, I want you to take 5 minutes and write it outside of the circle. Now, I really said 5 minutes because 5 minutes is a long ass time sitting silent in a car together, writing in a notebook, right? 5 minutes is a long time. And this is what I do with myself. And this is what I challenge anyone who comes to me for advice to do. I said, go ahead and write everything that you have no control of outside of the circle. And he's like, okay. Hey, everybody, I want to take a quick break to let you guys know if you like anything that you see on the podcast, from the photos to the social media clips to the audio itself, the video, and even the studio set, all of this is provided by 98 Studios and the team. So if you guys are interested in starting a podcast, if you want to take your podcast to the next level, if you guys need creative work done, if you need photo, if you need to rent a space, any of the above, 98 Studios is the place to do it. So once again, if you like how we do things, they handle everything from A to Z. All I do is I show up and I interview. They do branding, they do design, they do everything. If you guys are interested in getting in contact with them, it's the number 9, the number 8, studios.co. So once again, it's number 9, number 8, studios.co. And make sure you do stuff the right way. It's your legacy. Starts writing, right? He's writing. And I'm like giving him little prompts as he's writing, because obviously your brain goes blank. You can't think of it. I'm like, okay, weather would be a really easy one. Area, like you mentioned, is another one. What's going on at home is another one. Something that happened within politics or the world is another one. And this was actually the year of COVID. So this was pretty apparent. And he's writing all these things. And honestly, you can find enough things to write to fill 15 minutes worth of writing outside of this circle, things you have no control over. So he goes and he writes all these things out. It's like full. The page is damn near full with a circle right in the middle of it that's just empty. And I'm like, okay. Now within the circle, right, I want you to write the things that you have complete control over, 100% control over. Don't write anything that you don't control in the circle, right? He's like, okay. So he starts thinking, and it's like I'm prompting him as he's writing, and we have a little bit less time to do that. It took like 3 minutes to do that, and it's like how many doors I knock, how much time I spend reading every day, what time I wake up, what I eat in the morning, whether or not I go to the gym, right? Who I interview, the thought or the music that I listen to, right? The things that I say out loud. Right. And he's writing down all of these things that he has complete control over. And then I look at him, and I do this whenever I do coaching. I look at him like, okay, now I want you to go and I want you to read everything outside of the circle, inside of the circle. And I want to know 2 things. I want to know, number 1, how much time of your day, what percentage of your day is spent focusing on things outside of the circle. And I want to know how much time you spend focusing on the things, fully focused on the things inside of the circle. And he sits there and he's like, oh, like at this point, he knows what I'm doing, right? He understands the point, but we still go all the way through the exercise. There's no reason to go cut it short. We go all the way through it, and we get really, really honest, right? And in his situation, he was spending 90% of his day awake, worrying, thinking, focusing on the things that he has zero control over. Which means there's only 10% of his day left to focus on the things that he actually controls, that he knows will go and get him his desired outcome. So my challenge for all of you guys is to do that exercise, go and rate or go and answer the question of how much time you're spending within your circle of influence, outside of your circle of influence, And then I want you to get very, very honest and deliberate with yourself. Like, okay, is it benefiting me at all to think of these things and focus on these things and think about these things that I have no control over? And the answer is no, right? Because if you're doing that, you're going to feel out of control, which is a very uneasy feeling. And if you just live life by chance, it's not going to go turn out exactly how you want it, right? And then once you go and have that realization and you kind of kick yourself in the ass and you're like, dang, okay, like now I get it. It's on me, right? I want you to go get very clear on the things within your circle of influence that will get you to your desired outcome, right? I want you to get very clear, and I want you to write them down, hand write them down. Don't type them in your notes, hand write them down. Write down the things that are completely 100% in your control to get you to a desired outcome. And that is where I want you to go and spend all of your energy and focus for the next week. And if you don't see substantial difference in your production, your attitude, and everything else, then give it up. It's all a hoax. It doesn't work. But if you genuinely go and do that, and you're very honest with yourself, and you use that for a week, you use that tool for a week, you will see substantial differences. And this is not a Zack principle that I just came up with and just decided that I think it works. This was taught to me by people. It's my own little spin on it. It was taught to me by people. I use it very often in my life. And anytime that I feel out of control or like I can't go attain what I want to attain and hit the things that I want to hit and do the things I want to do, I go and I figure out, okay, what is within my circle of influence? And of the things in my circle of influence, what will get me to where I want to go? And that's where I put all my focus. So I challenge you guys, go get really honest with yourself. Go get very aware with where you're at. Go figure out where you want to go, and that'll show you how to do it. And then go for 7 days and give your very best effort focusing on those things. And you might not go get it perfect. You might not spend 100% of your time focusing on your circle of influence. But if that rep individual, that guy individual can go and focus 70% of his time within his circle of influence, that's 7 times as much effort, energy, and focus spent on things that are actually getting him to where he wants to go. So that's my challenge for you guys. Again, I love all of you guys. I appreciate all you guys. If I can ever do anything to help out, never, ever hesitate to reach out. And we're going to keep cranking on the podcast. The only way we're able to do that is with you guys. So go and leave a review, go and rate this thing, share this thing, and we can keep doing it because of you guys. So until next time, much love. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As always, it was a blast for me. I hope you got something out of this. If you got something out of this video of value, share this with a friend, and please go show your love. We're on all streaming platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Any ratings, comments, likes, shares, they go a very long way, and they make it so I can keep doing these things for you, and I would appreciate it greatly. So please go share with a friend. Until next time.